I just want to tell you a story today. I want to tell the story of why I started this channel. No script, no nothing, just me talking the way I've always wanted to present everything on this channel. Now, to tell you that story about why I made this channel, I need to go back to why I became an advisor, or part of the reason why I became an advisor. Back in the day, when I decided to become an advisor, I knew I liked helping people from my previous experience working in hospitality and hotels and everything else. I always got a lot of joy at making sure they had a stress-free trip and that they had a very good vacation. There's more than one occasion. There may be a picture of me as a guest service agent in people's wedding albums. The parents loved me at the time. I was just a kid, so I looked young and it was fun. Anyway, I digress. The reason I wanted to become an advisor, or one of the core reasons I had, was I had this memory. I remember my parents had an advisor. I'm not going to name companies or names or any of that, it doesn't matter. What happened was that person came into our home and he sold my parents some product. The products weren't bad on their own. In a vacuum, they're probably fine. However, it wasn't financial advice, it wasn't financial planning, it was a product sale. And not to say, like, again, the products were fine on their own in a vacuum. I don't know if it's something my parents really needed at the time, or what the money could have gone somewhere better for their planning purposes in their financial life than what they spent it on. Again, not the worst thing in the world, but that has always rung true with me, because I just think that if someone cared about my parents' money and in their situation and their family and me, my sisters, and helped my parents out, I'm not saying that they would become millionaires or super rich or anything like that. Just what I used to tell clients was, you know, if we can get you close to your goals, or 10 or 20 or 30, 40, 50% financially better, is that not worth doing? Everyone says yes to that. Who's gonna say no, they don't want to be financially better, financially healthier? You know, so if my parents had someone who gave them real advice and not just trying to sell them a product, could they be a little bit better off today? Absolutely. Now, fast forward to being an advisor, there's two key things. The first being, I worked for two different companies. One I was self-employed under, one was one of the banks. I was an advisor under both. Both of them had done, and this is pretty much industry-wide, I don't think it's them specifically. They said, hey, advisors, if you have low net worth individuals or families, you're no longer going to get paid on them, or we're going to discourage you from keeping them on your books and taking care of them. Because they're going to hurt your quotas or hurt whatever you're talking about. So if they matter, maybe you have a $1 million client and then this is their kids with, you know, whatever money, and you would keep that because you want to keep the family tree, right? That's your decision to make, they said. But you essentially have to offset it somehow. And they obviously don't talk about quotas, whatever. Anyway, I digress. We'll talk about that another day. It was, if you had a small client, you were no longer getting paid. Because if you're an advisor, usually in the industry, there's something called trailer fees. Often when you manage money, you would get a small amount of money at the end of the year or whatever, or every month to manage their money, manage their assets. So if it's a $10,000 client, it's not very much, but if you add it up and have a lot of these clients, you get a lot, and the company feels like it's not in their best interest. They said, hey, kick it to our hot. The banks don't do that as often to telebanking. However, they just kind of say, let someone else handle it, and you can always go into a bank and talk to someone, but you never know. I know someone who had their first experience going to the bank. They want to set up investments and stuff like that. They had a bad experience. The person didn't do what they said they're going to do, and the person walked out a little confused, a little unsure of everything. Yes, you can go back in and talk to someone different, but they kind of felt that having a bad experience, left a sour taste in their mouth, and it took them a while to go back and get everything rectified. The second person was great eventually, but you're not really trusting that person to help you give advice and do everything else. It leaves a bad experience, and then that person has to find stuff on their own. Followed by the other experience that really made me turn this channel on was, if you remember the company FTX with Sam Bankman-Fried, who committed fraud with his company in his crypto and all that stuff. There were a lot of influencers, a lot of content creators who talked about them positively. And they said, yep, this is a good company, I have money here, blah, blah, blah. They said these type of things. They knew they had a large audience, and they knew this was gonna go. They knew that audience would follow them, even if they didn't explicitly say it. And what happened was, when things blew up, people were upset and said, hey, I put money there because of you. And they said, whoa, I don't have financial advice, this is not financial advice. And they just scurried away. I felt that was very wrong, and I feel very strongly about it, because when I was an advisor, if I gave bad advice like that, I could be sued into the ground. I had insurances to protect against it and all that stuff, but I was very keen on making sure I never had that happen. But you can very much get sued for that type of stuff. It just bothered me that people would give advice and then say it wasn't advice and everything else. Part of that is the reason why this channel isn't about investment advice. It's because I think there's enough of that out there and people could need more financial guidance on a very simple level. So yeah, those are kind of the reasons why I built the channel. I call it cozy because, as you see, I'm just in a nice shirt and I wear a hoodie all the time and I have my beard, and I sat across enough families. I've met enough kids, enough extended families, enough puppies and cats and everything else. I've met enough to know that people just don't care about that. They want someone approachable. I drink my coffee. I've had a lot of coffee at people's houses, a lot. Some alcohol every now and then. Clients, they would tell me all the time, take off your tie. Don't be stuffy. But I was always professional. So I get it. The pressure is no longer there. I just want to have a general conversation with you and teach you about things that you can just do better for yourself. That's where I want you to start. If you feel uncomfortable going to the bank or going to someone and think you're not worthy of them, and you just want to have a place to start to do it on your own and you can branch out from there, come talk to me, come watch the videos. I have a playlist started where you can learn the basics of everything and go through that. That's what I want to do. I want to have a casual conversation. I often sent surveys to clients and often it came back very simple. They liked me because I made them feel like a friend, that was approachable, that the information I gave them wasn't full of jargon, it very simple, very easy to digest, and they felt very comfortable with that type of approach. I just want other Canadians and other people to have that same feeling, and I want to help everyone out. Now, this is something you like and you resonate with this, please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Happy to engage with you. I read them all. I hope to see you in the next one. That's Aaron from Cozy Financial Planning.